Hello and welcome to the final race of the Formula Sim Racing Academy Championship here for 2020. Brought to you by SimLab 3D Wrap and IMB Racewear. And here today we have got the final race, and the season, or the championship I should say, is not quite over just yet. The driver of Kalaxai couldn't quite win the championship last time out, so Matthew Tewson will be doing everything he can today to try and get above that. However, it is going to be pretty difficult considering there's a 24-point gap between them. But yeah, Cameron Rodger here for you today, and joined with me once again is Ewan OLeary.
Yeah, good afternoon, Cam. Good afternoon to everybody at home watching as well. Yeah, Matthew Tewson needs something short of a miracle today to manage to win this Academy Championship. But the great thing is, the maths are simple for us, first of all, and we do actually have a championship finale, which is great news. Really looking forward to it. Obviously, you said it there, Tewson needs to win, and that will be his first ever win in Academy. That's what he needs to take it, and Kalaxai needs a bit of a disaster. Here's the circuit, by the way, the Sao Paulo GP. Just 43 laps, 60% of the race we'll see later on tonight for the World Championship Pro in the middle there with 80%. Couple of DRS zones and quite a lot of overtaking I'm expecting, because Interlagos is such a great circuit for racing, particularly with F1 cars. I find that this circuit does just produce fantastic race year in, year out, both in real life and in FSR. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, as you say, they got two DRS zones. There should be a fairly nice overtake, especially into turn number one, because you've got that almost hairpin corner. But what are they using? Well, they're using the FSR 2020 car. The last time we're obviously going to see it this season for the Academy guys. They got 976 horsepower. They're not going to quite reach that 370 kph top speed on this track, but it does weigh 743 kilos. And they obviously have their qualifying engine modes as well, so they will have obviously the race and the quali boost, and that quali boost doesn't last too long, so you can only really do one quali lap. And as we've seen, a number of drivers have blown their engines when they've tried to use it in the race as well. But the drivers now are just heading out for their qualifying laps, and as normal they only have 3 laps to do so. 9 laps in the game, including in and out laps. And one of the first drivers we are looking at is Stoyan Barbkov. But while they're on their outlap, we can just talk about the track a little. It is quite a tricky little track, and there are 43 laps, which is quite a lot for the Academy Series, but that's because it's so short. And that means that the tyre wear is generally a little bit higher, because this track has a lot of corners per kilometre. So I'm sure we might be seeing quite a few two-stops here, even in Academy.
That's going to make things very exciting indeed. Obviously, it's a little bit more strategic difference to just a simple one-stop, which I'm quite glad about myself. But yeah, currently on board with Stoyan Barbkov. Hasn't driven for the last 2 races actually, but was doing quite well in the races that he has competed in. Currently 6th in the championship, I believe, but it's not going to matter to him too much. He'll probably be more proud of his podium that he got back at Indianapolis back in the USA round, but we'll see if he can go one better, maybe even 2 better here today. But one thing we did notice through practice that we saw a couple of minutes ago, that was off camera of course, but we did notice it was Jacob Reed who was really on fire actually in that qualifying session, wasn't it?
Yes, certainly it was. So there's going to be a few drivers, I think, going for this pole position, and with it being such a short track, these lap times are going to be so close. Always Barbkov slides the rear end there, coming into turn number 8, hairpin there, and that is going to lose him a little bit of time. This is not going to be at least the pole position lap, but he might be able to get himself a decent banker lap. Obviously, with them being limited on the amount of laps, you really need to try and get your lap in if you can. If you can get one. He goes a bit wide out of the final corner as well. He's really overcooked those rear tyres on this lap. And when he comes to line, I don't think this is going to be one of the top times at the moment. As you actually see Matthew Tewson, who's doing some purple sector as well. But we'll see what Stoyan does as he goes to 3rd place on the grid, as Matthew Tewson goes to the top on a 5.4. That is a decent lap time for him, followed by George Shatsipantelis as they go out for their second laps. Whereas Kalaxai, as comes there, he's going to be in 5th place. So championship leader only down to 5th place, and Tewson is hitting the ground running here in Brazil.
He is, absolutely. Currently 1/10 clear of Brantholm, who's in 2nd at the moment. But Kalaxai just getting in a banker, really. Doesn't need to go all out on the first qualifying lap. If he qualifies inside the top 10, then he'll be absolutely fine with that. So, I think he's pretty pleased with that first lap time. He's going to just start to increase the pace just a tiny bit now. he's got that banker time in. But yeah, still guys coming over the line now. Ribéry coming down into 13th position, clumping with his teammates actually there as well in 13th, 14th and 15th place. But yeah, it's the banker times really coming in. Toussaint setting the pace so far, which we weren't exactly expecting, but that's exactly what he needs to do if he wants any shot at this championship.
Yeah, he has to win this race. If he doesn't win this race, he doesn't win the championship. So that is really what he needs to do. And remember, he's never ever won a race. As we see Nick Pong come to line, going to 22nd overall. As we see All Valley Sports, another one of their drivers, Nizio, getting all crossed up coming out of turn 9 as well. So that's pretty much all of those first laps coming to an end. I think Furlich is the last one coming to the line. Massive long run out of that was effectively the final corner coming up to the line, staying as tight as you want to get every last thousandth of a second. And where does he put himself? He goes to 26th position, but we're now getting the second lap times in, and it's George Chatzipantelis who is going purple.
Yeah, he is at the moment. He's going to try and knock off Toussaint from the top. And you say Toussaint's never won a race. He hasn't in the Academy Series. It's, oh dear, it's Chatzipantelis. I'm not sure what it is with these cars sliding through that corner in particular, but Barbakov was doing it earlier, and now Chatzipantelis has also done it. But yeah, you say Toussaint has not won a race. He hasn't in the Academy Series, despite this being his third season. However, he did win a Winter Series race earlier. I know it's not quite the same prestige as a FSR Academy race, but he does know how to take the victory, that is for sure. And he's been consistent throughout this season. Unfortunately for him, though, that consistency hasn't quite been enough, because this man we're watching right now, Koloksai, has been just a little bit better as Barbakov goes to the top, finally getting his lap time right. His first one was really scruffy, his second one must have been a little bit better, but we'll see what Koloksai can do with it as he comes over the line now.
Where's he going to put himself? He jumps up to second place, so gets ahead of Matthew Toussaint, but still almost 3/10 behind Barbakov. That is quite something, I have to say. That is a decent lap time that Barbakov's done. As you mentioned earlier, Barbakov has missed a few races this year. I believe he had some issues with his wheel, so I believe he's got a new one now, and he is back trying to get himself a good position. Where's Pignataro going to go? 22nd place for him. So yeah, looking pretty good at the top there. Someone who struggled a bit in qualifying this year is Jacob Reed. Obviously, he's won races. I believe, in fact, he might have won 2 races. Yeah, he won in Portugal and the Netherlands. So he's looked very good this season, has Jacob Reed, but he's often struggled a little bit on some of the tracks. He has got another second place in Great Britain as well, but hasn't always had the best qualifying, which is something that he needs to work out in the future, as we obviously look towards the future after this race. And the 2021 season, that will obviously be happening when we get to that point. But where can Reed put himself as he comes to the line? Opens DRS, 7th place at the moment. He's going to go up to a good 5th place there. So a little bit of an improvement for him.
Yeah, he's not done too badly there, considering his qualifying performances in the past, as Cosmo Pasquito comes up towards the line now, possibly pushing himself into the top 10. And no, indeed, he can't, actually. He can't improve on his lap time at all, which is a little bit of a shame for him. But I did notice Barbakov's first lap we watched it while we were on the stream here. It was particularly scruffy. I mean, it was really sliding all over the place. He didn't look like he was enjoying himself at all. But then his lap time wasn't actually that bad. I was expecting him to be a second or two down. It was that scruffy, but he was only 5/10 or so down, and he's really shown that he has got pace here. We'll see if Toussaint can match him, though, as he comes over the line, and he can't go anyway. He can't improve on his lap time as Chatzipantelis goes into second, pushing Toussaint down to 5th.
Yeah, Toussaint starting to drop a little bit. We've got a couple more drivers setting their lap times, and obviously, as we mentioned over the season, this is a private session, so often drivers are on the exact same part of the track at the same time. As Furlich goes up into 14th place, Barbakov now on his next lap, which I believe is already his final hot lap. Yeah, this will be his final hot lap. He won't have enough laps after this. Purple in the middle sector. Decent first sector. Where can he put himself? He's going to improve, do a 5.0, and that is all that he's got. He's going to have to sit there for the last 2 and a bit minutes and see what other drivers do. But certainly, with a 1/4 of a second advantage, it's looking good for pole position.
It is looking very good right now, because finding a 1/4 of a second around a circuit like Interlagos is quite difficult. It doesn't sound like a lot, but this circuit isn't very long at all. It's only 1 minute and 5 seconds. It's really possibly the shortest on the calendar. Question mark. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't done the research on that. I'm just guessing. But Koloksai coming through the final corner. He's not improved on his first or second sector at the moment. I believe this is going to be his final lap time because he's not going to. I doubt he's going to have time to get round again. Well, he might do, but we'll see as he comes over the line now. And he cannot improve on his lap time.
Interesting that there's quite a few people not going quicker as we get towards the latter parts of the qualifying session. As we see Steuben, where is he going to put himself? For Geo Grand Prix, he's going to improve, but he's going to stay in 28th, which is unfortunately last here today, as Garnier goes up there into 19th place. So the top three have all finished, and a few guys behind them are now coming out for their laps. Brantholm, we haven't mentioned him yet. He's already up into 4th place. He had a few good races earlier on in the season. Unfortunately, then had to take a couple of races off with some personal things happening. But now let's see what he can do on this final lap for NRWO Esports, as they've had a pretty decent year overall compared to where they've been in previous years. But now what can Brantholm do as he comes up through 6 and 7, then hard on the brakes. Oh, another driver locking the rear tyres. That seems to be a huge issue for these drivers today.
Yeah, guys just backing it into the car rearwards, backing into the corners rearwards, which is a little bit strange to see, but it's happened a lot of the time as Molnar improves to 3rd position. That is a very good lap time from him, and we'll see if he can stay up there, but I think he will be able to with the amount of time that's remaining. That is absolutely fantastic for him just to be able to be just in behind Chatsipantelis. But the big question right now is where is Tucson and how far can he jump up the order? I think he's currently coming down to turn number 4, looking at the track map on the bottom right-hand side, but I could be wrong. I could be spotting the wrong yellow dot, so we'll see. But currently watching Scott Davidson, just in the final corner. Not seen much of him this session either, but a solid top 10 from him so far.
He's on a couple of personal bests. He did look very quick back in Azure, but unfortunately, I believe he broke his wrist, which is why he has been off for a few races. Now he's back where he's going to put himself up into 4th place. So that is really good. So now let's have a look. Matthew Tucson coming up to Sector 2 marker. What is he going to do? He is going to, slightly slower in that middle sector. That could cost him, as that first sector is a personal best, but it's not the absolute best that we've seen. People have got into the 16.2s in that first sector. So is this going to be an improvement? Where is Tucson going to be starting this race from? He's going to go to 5th place. That is possibly just about good enough for him to get a good result today. But will it be enough as Furlich comes across the line? That is all of the drivers, but it is going to be Stoyan Barbakov who has got the pole position here after missing a couple of races. He's now back and certainly showing his pace has never left him.
No, he's still got that form that he's been carrying clearly from the races that he has missed. I think the dream is still alive for Tucson here. He's just made his job a little bit harder, of course, because he's got 4 guys to overtake and stay in front of during this race, and Koloksai still needs a bit of a colossal catastrophe, really, for Tucson to win this. But don't forget as well that Koloksai could still have a bad race and finish inside the top 15, which is what he needs. If it was World Championship, he'd need the top 10, but he only needs the top 15 here in Academy because there's so many cars. He can have a little bit of a worse race and still manage it. But Barbakov on pole and Tucson in 5th position.
Yeah, so these, as you see, there's one person still out on the track, but that is Moscato, but he is not on a valid lap. Session says that he's got a finish next to his name, so that won't count, I believe, for him. But he's coming back into the pit lane, so he will not be improving, and that is your grid for today's race. So while these drivers have a bit of a warm-up session, we will take a look around this track from the one and only Michi Hoyer.
This is Formula Sim Racing. My name is Michi Hoyer and welcome to the track presentation of the final race of the 2020 Formula Sim Racing season. We are at Interlagos, we are at Sao Paulo in Brazil. Classic season final to come up here, and I'm delighted to take you around the track for the last time this season. 10 races it will be after that, and phenomenal season is finding an end here at Brazil. We're going into turn 4, Curva del Sol. very lowest point on the circuit, coming up to turn 6, 7, a double apex right-hander up the hill, going over the crest. Rear end wants to become unstable here pretty much, going into the first of 3 hairpins, right, left and right. Important here, the compression from the turn, and then going into turn 10, quite late apexed right hand hairpin, a flat out turn 11, and then the ever so important turn 12, because from here on it is flat out all the way up to turn 1. Turn 13 and 14, no issues whatsoever. We open DRS right here and approach the best overtaking point, going across the line into turn 1. The Senna S stay late on the outside to go in late for the apex, nail turn 2 and then flat out through 3 into the second DRS zone. Short sprint up to a relatively heavy braking zone, turn 4, late on the brakes, lunge it onto the curb, kissing the exit curb as well. Turn 5, everything's flat. Then the right hander carry very much speed and keep the car stable over the crest as the rear end becomes loosened. Turn 8, stay in the middle of the track because you want to have a good entry into the compression of turn 9, going over the rattling curb. Late apex here for turn 10, and early on the throttle around turn 11, everything flat out, don't touch the outside curb too much, and then favor the exit so much and try to carry as much speed as you can over 13. Again, DRS wide open and across the line, guys. That is 1 lap around the technical circuit here of Interlagos, and will be quite interesting with tyres, will be quite interesting with the strategies, and you guys will have a look. 1400, 1630 and 1900 and ACA Pro and World Championship drivers take it out for the win for the very last time in 2020.
Welcome back to the 10th round of the Formula Sim Racing Academy Championship for 2020, brought to you by SimLab 3D Wrap and IMB Racewear. And we're here for the Brazilian Grand Prix, 43 laps, and we still are waiting to crown the Drivers' Champion. It's going to look like it's probably going to be David Kalaksai, as Matthew Tuson has to win this race no matter what, and then Kalaksai will actually have to DNF for Tuson to be able to win, so it's looking heavily in favour of Kalaksai. However, we've seen so far this season anything can happen, and Academy has been an absolutely almost inconsistent season, but that has made it very interesting with the table and with how it's all worked, because Matthew Tuson has only had 1 podium this year, 3rd place in Azure, and that has been enough for him to now be challenging for the title, which is pretty crazy, but that is how it's worked out this year. And yeah, Cameron Rodger here for you today, and Ewan OLeary is with me. And Ewan, I think we're going to see a pretty crazy end to this Academy season.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy, I reckon. The guys are going to have to be aggressive at this point. Most of them got nothing to lose. Obviously, 2 of them probably have. Haven't spoken about the constructors much. I'm not sure if that's actually still. Oh, it is very much alive actually. Between Royal Blue Racing and Drillers Esports, so that's going to be something to watch. But the constructors is always really difficult to work out, so I tend to ignore it for fear of exposing my math skills. But it's going to be an aggressive race because, as I said, a lot of people with not a lot to lose in this race. Matt Tuson's going to have to be aggressive if he wants to win, and he probably will want to win. So he's going to be aggressive for sure. And Kalaksai is probably going to be the only guy in the field taking it easy today. Because everyone's going to want to win to end off the season, but Kalaksai doesn't need to win, and he probably doesn't want to because that risks him being in a potentially race-ending battle, which he definitely does want to avoid. But we know that it's tight in the first 3 corners here, so he's going to have to be very careful, and all of these guys are going to have to be very careful as well to make it through unscathed.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight indeed for that turn number 1 and 2, and it is going to be interesting to see what Kalaksai does. Is he going to push? Is he going to, take it easy? and also what Matt Tewson's going to do. He's always been one to be a little bit maybe cautious in some wheel-to-wheel battles and that sort of stuff, but he's got to go for it today, because if he doesn't win, he doesn't win the championship. So he's got to do something. And as you say, we'll try and keep an eye out on the constructors, because there's only 1 point between Drillers and Royal Blue. However, I believe Drillers only really have Jacob Reed fighting at the front, whereas Royal Blue have Kalaxai and Clip. So it's looking like it's probably going to be Royal Blue who take that one. But there's only 1 point between them, so we'll try and do our best to keep you up to date with what it's looking like for those guys. And yeah, we'll see how this race is going to be. The Brazilian Grand Prix has been the traditional end of the Formula Sim racing calendar for the last, well, 5-6 years, and it always brings an absolute treat of a race, and I'm excited to see how this is going to go. But we'll see who is on top in the warm-up session in the background. This is looking like it's going to be George Chatzipantelis, followed by Zalogiannis, which is a bit of an interesting one. He hasn't been up there, and also Furlich as well. So it seems like some of the drivers, as you see, like Kalaxai, Tucson, not really setting times in the warm-up. However, that is just finished, so we'll be moving to the race in a moment. And also, not to forget, the Drivers' Champion of the Academy Series will be winning that package from IMB Racewear. So that includes boots, a hat, a shirt and gloves. So that is a nice little package for whoever's going to win. And hopefully, for Kalaxai's sake, that is going to be what he can do today.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping for that, and he just needs a nice clean race to be able to manage it. But yeah, warm up can't really draw many conclusions from this, of course. But the guys just setting their lap times. Anyway, we can see the grid again now. You can see Tucson and Kalaxai locked together again on row 3 there, 5th and 6th, with Barbakov, Chatzipantelis, Molnar, Davison all up in front. But the interesting thing for me is that I'm not sure if this is going to be the case, but Tucson may have some help in this race because he's got Chatzipantelis and Molnar in front of him, who I would expect to be jumping out the way of him at some point, because surely they want to get him his championship. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually happens or not, but he definitely has some help up here in the first 6 or 7 cars.
Yeah, it depends really what people want to do. I mean, in terms of direct teammates, Tucson doesn't actually have any direct teammates, so it's sort of difficult to say. And obviously, I know Chatzipantelis, he wants to win this race very badly because he wants to secure his promotion to the Pro Championship next year. But also Barbakov does as well. So they are both going to be going absolutely flat out to try and win this race. So I think those two are going to probably romp off into the distance, trying to push each other to go quicker and quicker. But yeah, let's have a look a bit down the order of who we've got. So we've got Chatzipantelis in second, Molnar in third, Davison back then fourth. Good performance from him. Tucson in 5th place. Kalaxai, your championship leader, down there in 6th place, but he only needs to get basically 1 point to secure the title here today, at least, and that is assuming Matt Tucson wins the race. Brandholm down in 7th. Zalogiannis is there in 8th place. Jacob Reed in 9th, double race winner, but often struggles a little bit in quali, but look out for his race strategy. Adriano Harazoa is in 10th place. Matthew Clip, 3rd place in the championship. He can potentially get 2nd today if Matthew Tucson has a bit of a bad race, as there's only 5 points between them. Frelich down in 12th, Zaharov in 13th, Pesciuto in 14th, and Rusnak rounds out your top 15. And then you can have a look at the other drivers down there as well, as Barbakov comes up to the line already, with it being such a short outlap. But let's see what is going to happen. As you can see, top 10, all on those soft compound tyres, as they have to because of the qualification rule. However, after that is all a mix of strategy. And today we're probably going to be looking at either a soft hard or maybe even a soft medium for some of these drivers. And obviously that in reverse for the people starting on the alternate strategy. So let's see what they do as they come to start the race. It's going to be quite a tight turn 1 and turn 2 here, as we see Steuben in the background getting himself in the grid box. So let's see what Barbakov can do from the pole position. It's going to be quite difficult for him. It's going to be quite difficult for us to see the lights as well from this angle, but we'll deal with it as Barbkov now. It's going to take him away from the pole position. What can he do coming down into turn number 1? Can he get a good start? There's already a crash in the background, but it's actually Chatsipantelis who gets down the inside. Barbkov has had a really bad start. Chatsipantelis has taken the lead of the race into turn number 1 as we now come through the rest of Sector 1. It looks like everyone's getting through pretty cleanly and pretty nicely as we now come down towards turn number 4. A couple of smoking engines in the background. Kalaksai is already trying to get on the inside of Matthew Tewson down into turn number 4. Championship rivals going side by side as we can now come through turn 5. Who's going to come out on top? I think Kalaksai is going to be able to get this one as Tewson is going to have to give up that position as that is too fast of a corner to go side by side.
Yeah, Kalaksai just getting ahead of Tewson there, and it was actually not as bunched as I was expecting into turns 1 and 2 there. Everyone making it through cleanly pretty much. Brantholm just being pushed down ever so slightly, and Jacob Reed now trying to make some progress up the inside, but it was a fantastic launch from Chatsipantelis off the line. Absolutely incredible, really, to get up the inside of Barbkov from there. So he did a great job, and Kalaksai has also done a great job to push Tewson down into 6th position.
As you get to the end of lap 1, it's Chatsipantelis who's got himself over a second advantage from Stoyan Barbkov. What a first lap that is from Chatsipantelis. Told you how motivated he was to win this race, and that certainly proves it. As now Matthew Tewson has just got overtaken from Zalugianis as well. So this is not good if he wants to win this championship. He needs to be winning this race. And losing 2 positions on lap 1 is not going to be what he wants to do. A little bit further back, it does seem that everyone has got through pretty nicely, including all these royal blue cars. You see in a line there, Matthew Clip there, 12th at the moment. I'm going to look back to people like Alex Hallows down in 19th place. Seems to be a bit of a gap there, so there might be a bit of a incident there. But back at the front, George Chatsipantelis is extending his lead and is looking good to potentially get another race victory. He's already got 2 this season.
Yeah, he already has, and he's trying to add to that, of course, and already breaking that DRS line. He's got 1.2 seconds over Barbkov, so that is a good opening lap. I was expecting Tewson to be a little bit more aggressive, actually, in his defence of Zalugianis, and maybe even trying to hold off Kalaksai as well, but he really hasn't been. It's all spacing out the front of the field, though. 1 second margins everywhere, up to where Davison is, and then he's holding up everybody in behind, all the way down to Jacob Reed, who's looking particularly prominent on the back of Brantholm at the moment, but I don't think he's going to be able to go for it. Turn number 1, he's just a little bit too far back just for now, but yeah, it's all getting very interesting now in behind the front 3 or 4 or so. It is all getting very close, and battles are beginning to develop a little bit.
Yes, we now get DRS already with it being such short laps here. And what this field spread tells me is that the drivers at the front of the field, they're not saving tyres. They are pushing to try and get the track position that they want. And it'll be interesting to see the lap times that they are doing. So last lap, interestingly, Chatsipantelis and Barbkov did the same lap time to 3 decimal places at 8.319. Both of them did the exact same time. However, it's given the purple lap time to Barbkov, so he must have been a tiny bit quicker to 4 thousandths of a second. But yeah, they're certainly very evenly spaced. It'll be interesting to see if Chatsipantelis is actually ruining his tyres pushing out the front. But certainly a one-stop strategy is what we would expect from most of these drivers today.
Yeah, that's what we are expecting, and that's what we've seen for most of the Academy series so far, so we're not expecting that to change today. And by the way, we're already into lap traffic. You notice how short this circuit is. 1 minute 5 lap times. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more now because of race fuel loads and whatever, but Ribeli is already being overtaken by these guys. He just pulls off to the right-hand side, and so the guys can get through, with Jacob Reed now trying to make some more progress. He's getting a little bit stuck behind Brantholm, and this is not good for his race at all, because we know he has the pace, but if he's going to get stuck behind guys as long as this, then he really is not going to be a main player in this race.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit stuck here, isn't he, behind Brantholm. A bit of a gap forming there, so he needs to try and get past. Maybe do a dive here into the hairpin, but as we saw with Lewis Hamilton, not always the best overtaking opportunity there, as Barbkov is now trying to push to get on the back of him. But these lap times are, I'd say, potentially a little bit quick, so I would be a little bit fearful for their tyres if they want to try and make this work, because you can do 30 odd laps on the hard compound tyres, but that still means that you need to get at least 13 out of this as Jacob Reed now. He's going to go down the inside. Can he make that work on the brakes? Yes, he can. However, there's a second detection zone, so Branholm might be able to get him back with the DRS. As we now come out through the curve of Dassault, is Branholm going to come back? Does he have enough speed in that NRWO car? Around the outside of turn number 4, a little bit of contact is made, but Jacob Reed manages to hold it off.
Just a slight bit of contact there, nobody's fault really on that occasion, and Zalagianis also looking up the inside of Koloksai there. He's looking increasingly impressive right now, is Zalagianis, and Koloksai is under a little bit of pressure at the moment. He's also catching Davison as well, so this is getting extremely close, all accordioning together right now for 4th position, and Tucson just beginning to lose them a little bit. But yeah, a 3-car battle going to be very interesting down to turn number 1, now that the DRS is enabled especially, but Zalagianis is going to find this very difficult because Koloksai has got the DRS in front of him, and Koloksai is going to find it quite difficult as well because Davison has got the DRS off Molnar.
Yeah, this is that little bit that's just formed because Molnar has dropped over 3 seconds to the back of Barbkov, so he had the quali pace, but he doesn't quite have the race pace of the front 2 drivers who are still doing low 8s. They did 8.4, both of them last time. However, Molnar has dropped into the 8.9s, so he's already starting to drop off the pace a little bit. Koloksai just did purple first sector with that DRS. So Molnar is really going to be the one who's under the most threat from Davison. However, Koloksai is getting really close to him, and this could be a bit of a move coming up. Already on to lap 6 of the race, and this is going to be the point where the soft tyres start to drop a little bit if you've overcooked them in that first stint. We see this. There's been a big crash somewhere. Who has gone off there? I think it's Nizio has gone off. He's actually DNF'd from the race already, so I will try and get a replay with him to see what happened. He's gone for a big spin coming out of turn 7. Gets collected with one of the Royal Blue cars, who I believe was Pursuito, and that is going to be him out of the race.
Yeah, just losing it through that very fast right-hander there. It's kind of a bit weird as well, I find. It's not exactly flat, so it makes things a little bit more difficult. So just losing it and getting collected there, I'm afraid. So yeah, DNFs all round for those guys, and that adds to the 4 DNFs we have now got, from the 27 starters. But yeah, continuing to look at this battle, and by the way, at the front of the field, Chatsipansalis is being caught. I wonder if Molnar isn't actually losing that much time, if he's not being slow himself. It's just Barbakov is really turning the pace on right now, because not only is he extending that gap to Molnar, he's also halved Chatsipansalis' gap in the last 2 or 3 laps or so.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about when I saw that pace at the beginning. He did they both did an 8.3, which I'd say is a little bit too quick, because the main thing about these tyres is if you go out really hard, even only by 3 or 4 tenths of a second, you then lose that pace, your average pace over the stint. Where if you went a little bit slower early on, you might have a few more laps in those tyres. So that's why I'm worried they might have gone out just a tiny bit too quick, but we'll see how they keep those tyres, or if that is purely the pace that they've got. As now Matthew Tucson round the outside of Zalagianis. That'll be amazing, but he's not going to be able to make that work into turn number 2. And this is going to give now Jacob Reed an opportunity to get past the Invictus driver as they come down towards turn number 4. And this is, not what Tucson really needs if he's going to win this championship. He needs to be getting past Zalagianis, who's actually dropped off the back of Koloksai quite a bit over the last lap or so.
Yeah, he really has at the moment. 2.4 seconds. It's approaching 3 at the moment as well. It's extending rapidly right now, but Tucson really needed to squeeze Zalagianis a lot more through turn number 1 there. He gave him far too much space, went really, really wide, and then he was extremely narrow for turn 2 as well. Lucky to not be overtaken by Jacob Reed, but the fact he had DRS probably saved him in the end. But as we come down onto the straight again, is Koloksai going to go for this move? Because I feel like he's being held up now by Davison and Molnar, but Davison's got the DRS himself, and he's going to be trying to overtake Molnar. We could see 3 wide into turn number 1, but I doubt Koloksai will want it. A big crash in the background as well, by the way. Not sure who that was with, but side by side into turn 1. Davison can't get round the outside there, and now we'll see if Koloksai can take advantage.
Oh, Kaloxai is going to get a really good opportunity here down the inside. They've both got DRS. He's going to have to use a little bit of his boost, but I don't think he's got quite enough top speed. Davison now dives down the inside. Molnar, oh, very close contact there in turn number 4. Matthew Tewson is out of the race. That means Kaloxai is going to be your 2020 Academy champion, although it was already a little bit academic with how the race was going. But we will just see how this one goes, and then we'll grab a replay to see what has ended Matthew Tewson's race. Bit of a shame for him, but let's have a look. Let's have a look what's happened here. Although I believe it was actually before this. So let's have a look. Tewson now coming up. Oh no! Zaligianis lagged back into Matthew Tewson. That is such a shame. That is such a sad way to end the championship for him. That is, yeah, really disappointing, and I feel very very bad for him that has happened. As Kaloxai is battling here with Molnar into turn number 1 and 2. As Kaloxai obviously got past Davison, now trying to get past Molnar into turn number 4 around the outside. He's got the DRS. Molnar doesn't. He's going to sweep around there, and that is another place for him. So Kaloxai is now up into 3rd place, and that will be a nice place to win the championship. But yeah, with Matthew Tewson scoring no points, that, yeah, by default gives Kaloxai the championship. And to be honest, Kaloxai deserved it. He was one of the only drivers who was at the very, very front in pretty much every single race. He had a couple of bad races here and there, but certainly a very deserved champion as well. And to finish on the podium would be good for him. And as you see there, he's just made a couple of nice overtakes to get himself there as well. So very good job for him indeed. But we still have 33 laps to find out the rest of the positions in the championship. And this could give Matthew Clip 2nd as well, because he's only 5 points behind Tewson in the championship. So if he scores 6 points, he will get that 2nd place, which is what he's currently sitting on there in 10th place. So a couple of things still to look out for. But back at the front, how's Traxi Pantelis doing? On to lap 11, still leading the way by Barbakov, who can't quite get close enough.
No, he can't at the moment. He was closing in rapidly earlier on, and we were watching him, but he just went wide at the final corner and really lost a lot of time, and he's slowly been clawing it back again. I'm not sure if he is really wanting to overtake at this point, though. I think he's just content to stick behind for now and let the strategy play out later on, but yeah, Clip on that alternative strategy didn't even qualify in the top 10. Not entirely sure how that happened. Maybe he just doesn't have the outright qualifying speed here, but he's on those hard tyres behind his teammate Freelich at the moment, and he's going to play his way into this race a bit later on. But yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic for him to get 2nd place in your first FSR season. Would be really remarkable, and a testament to what Clip has done this season, and probably along with the Constructors' Championship as well for Royal Blue Racing, considering they've got 4 cars inside the top 10. It's hard to see drillers being able to overtake them in that standing, but yeah, Kaloxai is now freed of his defensive driving, really. He doesn't need to score points anymore. He can now go out all out for the win as well now, because he doesn't have to finish in the points anymore. He can DNF as well if he wants to, and still win the championship. So yeah, he can just go all out for the race win now. But given that he's 6 seconds in arrears to Barbakov, I find that's a little bit. It's going to be a little bit difficult for him now that he's lost so much time.
Yeah, it's potentially going to be a little bit difficult. But we saw in Zandvoort, I think it was, he had that drive-through penalty because he jump-started and he served out on the first lap, so he lost a lot of time. And he managed to make a lot of that back, as I heard another crashing sound. Who was that? I think that was yeah, Patrick Rusnek. So we've lost another driller's car, and that means there's only 1 driller's inside the points, which means with Adrian Harizoa in 8th and Kaloxai in 3rd, it looks like Royal Blue are going to be taking home the drivers and constructors here. Is now Davison getting very close. Is he going to dive down the inside into turn number 1? Just backed out of that idea, as the gap between the front 2 is actually increasing a little bit as well. But can Davidson get close enough into turn number 4? No, he can't quite. So Molnar's actually doing pretty decent defence at the moment, staying there in that 4th position. So yeah, doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he still had the DRS from Kaloxai on that occasion, though, because that might be helping him a great deal. When he loses that, which I think he's about to. I think he's going to find this job a lot more difficult, but Barbakov, meanwhile, up the front of the field, has made a bit of a mistake there because he's now 2 seconds behind Chatsipantelis. I've noticed this, that he is very fast, very, very fast indeed, probably the fastest over 1 lap out of this whole field, but he is making quite a lot of mistakes, not being quite as consistent as Chatsipantelis is up the front of the field. So if you can iron out a few of those mistakes, then he will definitely be able to get up the order into the lead. And now he goes into the pit lane. His tyres probably a little bit done as well, so he is going for the hard tyres now, probably to the end of the race, and see if he can get an undercut, as Davison now is going to attempt it again. Monar hangs it round the outside again though, and a little bit of contact. Oh no, Monar around after such a good defence. Monar has been spun around, and I'm not entirely sure who was at fault there.
I think, yeah, Monar went on a bit of a weird line. We'll get a bit of a replay, but I just want to see where Barbakov is going to come out, as our Monar is under attack from Simon Frelich. And you see Barbakov's there just in the background behind Matthew Klipp, as Monar seems to hold on there. So he's on the hard combat tyres. He can get to the end, but he struggled a lot with those tyres for only 13 laps on the soft. So I would say this is going to be a little bit of a struggle to the end, as Chatsipantelis is staying out even longer. So this is going to be quite good for him. And I just want to see if he pits, and then we will go and grab a replay, because I want to see if Chatsipantelis is going to stay out even longer, and he does. So that is going to be good for his hopes. So let's have a look there. What happened with Monar coming down into turn number 1. So we've got Davison coming on his inside. Is there going to be a bit of... Oh, there was a bit of contact. There absolutely was a bit of contact there. So let's jump on board with Davison's point of view to see what happened coming down to turn number 1. Yeah, there was a little bit of contact there, and then Davison went through, so hard to judge directly to see what happened, but or to see what potentially maybe a penalty would be, but very close there between them, and just a bit of contact sent Monar around just as he touched the rear end, and unfortunately that has dropped Monar down quite a few seconds, about 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that was probably Scott Davison's fault in the end there, because he just hit that curb on the inside, went out a little bit wide and into Monar. When it's so close like that, you can't afford to be drifting it out wide like that. So, and that's exactly what he does. But I think Chatsipantelis has also made a pretty big mistake here, because Davison's only 2.2 seconds behind him now. And I'm pretty sure that gap was a lot bigger beforehand. So Chatsipantelis has clearly left this too long. His tyres have completely gone off the cliff. 15 laps, he's going to be in a good place in terms of those hard tyres. But Barbakov is going to be in an even better place in terms of his track position, because I believe Chatsipantelis has made a huge mistake here, staying out for so long, and that has allowed a mistake to happen. He's been overtaken already, so this gap is going to be massive when the pit stops shake out. He's not exactly firing off the pit exit either very well, so Chatsipantelis, big mistake now, and even Koloksai has got ahead of him.
Wow, look at Barbakov now down the inside. This is going to be the net race lead, because look how far back... Was there a bit of contact there, actually? So Frelich not being too kind on the defence, but look how far back Chatsipantelis is. He's lost... Considering he was about a second or two ahead, he's lost at least 5, probably 6 or 7 seconds because of staying out those couple of laps.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake, really. I don't think that was all on pace, because if we try and work it out now, he's lost about 4 seconds to Barbakov, and he had a 2-second advantage over him when he came in. So that is a big loss for Chatsipantelis, and he's going to need a lot of work now to get up the order again and to try and overtake him again. But Scott Davison is also in now, freeing Jacob Reed up. So that is that's definitely good for Reed, who's running very long actually into this stint, lap 17 now, of course. So he's doing good time management for the moment. I think that's fair to say, as Barbakov is going to retake the net race lead really in a minute, because he's overtaken all the hard tyre runners who started on the hard tyres. So it just shows what a great drive it's been from him so far, despite the mistakes he's made.
And Kloksai got Chatsipantelis, so you're right. Chatsipantelis must have made a mistake that we didn't see. Must have had a little half spin or something, which is quite interesting. So Kloksai is now at net second place. So Clarkside could even win this race, to be honest, because we know how good he is on those tyres generally, and we know how sort of worse Barbkov has been, and he did pit early, so this could be a potential race victory for Clarkside, but he does have about 3 or 4 seconds to catch up to Barbkov if he wants to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm sure he does want to get this win, of course, to round off his championship. That really would be great, but I think he's going to have troubles in behind as well here with Chatsipantelis. He's going to have to make his way through Freelik and Clip, but don't forget, they are his teammates, so they're not going to make it that difficult for him to get through. Yeah, they might make it a bit more difficult for Chatsipantelis, bit of a slide there for the NetRex Grand Prix driver, but all is well with him as somebody comes out the pit lane there. I think they're a lap down, whoever that is, because they got in between Barbakov and Freelik. But still waiting for Reed, Brantholm to come in, and those guys up front running extremely long. I wonder if they're going to go for mediums in this final stint, because this is an extremely long stint. It just makes you wonder what Barbakov was doing to his tyres if Jacob Reed is taking them this long.
Yeah, there's been Jacob Reed's signature move the last couple of races, really. Or as I see a yellow in Sector 2. I think Shingle has spun around, maybe? Unsure. Someone... I think it was Molnar, actually. Molnar went for a little bit of a spin. I saw the yellow dot of the NetRex car, but yeah, we'll see what these drivers can do, because Jacob Reed, I think, is going to go on a set of the medium tyres as he comes in with Brantholm, and now Clarkside is getting held up by his team here, and this, if they don't do this correctly, Chatsipantelis could get through as they come into turn number 1. Who's going to go? Chatsipantelis down the inside of Matthew Clip. Almost a tiny bit of contact there with Clarkside, so he had to really back out of that, and now Matthew Clip is all over the back, so that was got a little bit dodgy for Royal Blues. They tried to get Clarkside through, as now they're going to get him through Simon Frelik, and that was a bit of bad play by George Chatsipantelis, because had he been a bit closer, he might be able to get Frelik down there as well. And don't get fooled by the black and blue. George Chatsipantelis is not teammates of these guys. It's just a very similar livery, and he will not be let through. However, is he going to go for a bit of dive here? No, he's got to be smart, because he doesn't want to ruin this. However, look at the front. Barbakov, 4 and a bit seconds in the lead. That has worked out really well for him.
Yeah, it really has at the moment. Clarkside's a little bit closer to him than he was when he finally got past Molnar, I think it was, who was holding third place at the time. So he has made a little bit of ground up, but he still needs more, as we've got a yellow flag again. It's it's Steuben, I believe. But anyway, Freelik is going to have to do some more defensive driving here. Chatsipantelis was extremely brave down into turn number 1 on the last occasion, but he couldn't really make it work. He's going to have to go to the inside again on a very tight line. He's going to get squeezed just a little bit, but later braking, fresher tyres, and Chatsipantelis has made that look pretty easy in the end.
But look how much time he has lost. He's now lost 1.5 seconds to Clarkside, and about another 4 seconds to Barbakov. So Barbakov is looking really good for track position at the moment. That car in the middle is Jean-Michel Garnier, who is down in 20th position, 1 lap down, as you mentioned earlier. But yeah, Barbakov is looking really good at the moment if he can keep those tyres. But let's have a look a little bit further back, as we have Davison, who's pitted now, down in 7th place, and Jacob Reed behind them is on those medium tyres, as we suspected. So if he can get past, he might be able to get himself towards the podium, but he does have a few seconds to do that.
Yeah, I think he's got... I don't think Mossarino has come into the pit lane yet. I haven't seen him in. Anyway, so he's going to have 3 of those guys removed. He's going to be in the top 5. Whether he can get onto the podium is a bit of a long haul, I think, as now indeed Christian Mossarino has not actually pitted just yet. You can see on the bottom of your screen, but Jacob Reed has, and now he's on the back of Davison. You've got to expect that this is going to be quite easy for him, considering he's on the mediums and Davison is on the hard, but Davison has got the DRS of that car in front of him, so that's going to make life just a little bit harder here for the Drillers Esports driver. Either way, they're all going to have to stay behind just for a little bit longer now, as they'll dip a wheel onto the grass on the outside and head their way into the middle sector. It's extremely busy, actually, with these guys, and not all of these cars are for position as well, so this could get quite complicated.
Yeah, this is where the Academy Series is generally won and lost. This is something Cas Rietveld, the Academy champion in 2019 did really well last year. He always pitted at the perfect moment to not get stuck in traffic. And that is generally how he either gained, because he wasn't always the best qualifier, but his strategy was always good. So that's how he gained time back. And we need to see if someone else has made that work. But as you say, it's getting a little bit tasty here with the amount of traffic that we've got involved. As we also got Chatsipantis now getting close to Coloxai, as well as Mocherino now getting overtaken just ahead there by Davison. So now Reed has got to get past as well. Otherwise, Davison is going to be pretty far up the road. But now Chatsipantis is looking all over the back of Coloxai. So I think Chatsipantis does have the pace here.
Yeah, I think he does as well. He's just made that one mistake that's really cost him a lot of time in this race, and it might have cost him the race as well, especially if he's going to get stuck behind Coloxai here. I was expecting Coloxai actually to make a few more inroads into Barbakov, but he's really not able to do that, and now we're halfway through the race. He's really going to have to start taking some time if he wants to catch up and then overtake as well, because obviously you do need to take that into account. You can't just catch him on the last lap and expect to win. You need to add a little bit of time for overtaking as well, of course. So Chatsopantelis is going to want to be in front, of course, and now Jacob Reed is also going to want to be in front of Christian Mocherino again, and we'll see if he can manage it into P number 7, but this should be a pretty easy pass actually, and indeed he comes into the pit lane, so yeah, extremely easy for Jacob Reed in the end.
And now he is released, and he has Clip and Frelick ahead of him, so he's in a net P5 after the pit stops. But who knows what is going to happen? Because obviously, Chatsipantis, Coloxai battling quite hard now. They might, have issues or whatever. So this could be looking pretty good. But you can see on the map how far ahead Barbakov is. He's that the guy with the purple ring around him coming through Sector 2. And you just see the guys behind. Barbakov has done a really good job. And look at that top 10 as well. They've got such a big gap there. Back to Mocherino and Pignataro in 10th and 11th. So the top 9 really. They pulled away so much. Such is their pace in these first few laps.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that gap has really opened at the moment. But yeah, it just shows the golfing class. And Molnar has been caught on the wrong side of it, of course, as well. With that accident with Davison, it just shows how much time he actually lost in that one. Just overtaking Pignataro there for 11th. Obviously, he's already in the points, but it's not really going to matter to him that much. He's going to want, well, he would have wanted to actually win this, but in the end, he won't be able to.
Chatsipantis has got Coloxai for second place. So that is a big move there. Can Coloxai come back at him?
Doesn't look like he can at the moment. Weaving to defend that. I'm not sure if that was a thank you or a or something not happy with Coloxai there, but Weaving on the straight for some reason. Anyway, he's through now, and we'll really be able to see what his pace is like, whether he can either chase down Barbakov just naturally, or if he can actually force the Bulgarian into a mistake up in front of him.
Yeah, so Chatsipantis now freed, and I do think he's going to push as hard as he can to get that victory. So it'll be interesting to see how motivated Coloxai is to try and get back that second place, or if he's just content with getting on the podium and getting that championship that he has been trying for the last few months. Obviously, with it being a slightly shorter season this year than it has been in the past couple, every race counts. And unfortunately, when you have a DNF or something like Matthew Tewson has had today, that is really what costs you. So getting a nice, solid, consistent drive is always appreciated. As we now have the two Royal Blues coming into the pit lane, so that has opened up Reed to try and get past Davison, but where does Clip and Frelick come out? And hopefully, they're not sharing a pit box or anything like that either.
No, it doesn't look like they are. They're just going to park beside, well, not beside each other, obviously, just nose to tail there. Clip's going to exit first. He entered first, so you would expect that. Looks like he is going to come out just ahead of Mocherino here, maybe. But yeah, that gap is going to fall pretty quickly because you do lose a bit of time going down the S's on the outside. But no, they do indeed get into 8th and 9th. The question now is, can they catch their teammate up in front of him? Not really sure they're going to be able to, because that's a 15-second gap almost, and they'd probably need to take a second a lap. And I don't think the mediums are going to be able to do that for the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's interesting that the alternate strategy really hasn't worked here. We've seen it work in a number of other scenarios this season, and Matthew Clip is generally one who's actually used that because his qualifying is not always the best. But Well, we'll see what they can do. They've got enough laps to do it, but Jacob Reed now for 4th position. Can he get down the inside of Davison? Oh no, he's going to go to the outside, actually, round the outside of turn 1 on the brakes. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. So that is going to be 4th position for Jacob Reed, and he now has 6 seconds to get himself a podium finish, which would be very good. But considering he's the only Drillers driver on the field, I think even if he beats Kalaksai, that position from Adriano Harazoa is going to be good enough for Royal Blue to take the constructors. But yeah, at least for Jacob Reed's personal gains, it would be good to get on another podium step. And while we're here, I will actually. We don't have the team standings, unfortunately, but we can get the driver standings. So this is how it's going to look at the moment. Matthew Klipp would be beating Tucson by 3 points. Barbakov would be jumping up to 4th place. Jacob Reed would lose out by 1 point to Barbakov as well. And George Chatsipantis would be in 6th. So that is getting very close for that 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place in the Drivers' Championship. So that is why they're still fighting so hard as we get towards the latter parts of this race.
Yeah, of course, you said, like you said earlier on, there's still the constructors to play for as well as the drivers. Things will be a lot more interesting, I would admit, if Kalaksai wasn't there, with the top 4 would be separated by 7 points, but obviously he is there, and that's a testament to how well he's been doing this season, particularly in the latter part of the season as well. He scored 3 podiums in the last 3 races for this season, and if he was to be able to do this, to round off the season with 4 podiums in a row is a really commanding performance, and it just shows that he does deserve this championship, but looks like he's not really even being caught by Jacob Reed right now, actually. The gap's just 5.6 seconds or so. Reed only gaining maybe half a second in that last lap, which is not really enough, and his medium tyres are going to start to become a little bit worse than the hards before long, so it looks like Reed might have to settle for 4th position on this occasion, but Chatsipantelis definitely isn't done yet. He's leaving Kalaksai behind, and he is now bringing Barbakov into his view. 3 seconds now, and with 16 laps still to go here as they cross the line now. This race is definitely still on.
Yeah, I'm going to say... Oh, Chatsipantelis goes for a bit of a spin, but he saved it. And that's going to give Kalaksai the opportunity to come back. And don't be too worried. The car behind them is Palizek, not Reed. But now they're coming down to turn number 4. Is Kalaksai going to get back on the inside? And that was the mistake. Yes, he does. That was the mistake that Chatsipantelis did not want or need. It's a bit of a silly mistake, really, because he's just lost 3 seconds and a position to Barbakov. And that could potentially have just given Barbakov this lead with 15, or this victory, I should say, with 15 laps to go. And I would say that Reed can probably catch these guys. Just depends if he can overtake them. If they are in a little train, a little duo train like this, it's going to be difficult for Reed to get past them, because obviously, as we mentioned, if the car ahead of you has DRS as well, that makes it even harder to overtake. But Chatsipantelis now is going to be coming all over the back of Kalaksai, and he's going to be pushing even harder once again to try and get this victory.
Yeah, he is, and if these two fight, then Reed is going to get into the picture even more here. So he's going to be hoping that they do that, but obviously he doesn't want them together when he actually gets to them, because then it makes his life a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I'll probably have to take some responsibility for that, for mentioning Chatsipantelis, and then as soon as I say it, he's spinning around. So it looks like Barbakov is now free at the moment. He just needs to control this race from this point, as he is doing right now. And Chatsipantelis obviously is going to be a little bit rattled by that mistake, so he's going to want a few laps behind Kalaksai before maybe trying to overtake again. But he's shown in the past in this race that he definitely has more pace than the championship leader and the champion in the end as well. So yeah, it's looking good for Barbakov. And Chatsipantelis is looking good for second place as well. He just needs to find a way through and actually stay there this time.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate issue that George has had over the years, where he has made some mistakes when being in good positions. Obviously, getting a couple of race victories this season, he's certainly shown that his improvement. However, just a little mistake like that is really, really not what you need when you're trying to fight for a race victory in such a tight situation like this. He didn't do the best strategy. Always now he's going to dive it down the inside. Bit of a late move on Kalaksai. Kalaksai's left him room, to be fair, but then dives it down the inside of turn number 2. So George is going to have to come back. Coming out to turn 3. This might be a bit of a boost move coming down into turn number 4. Clockside doesn't have the DRS. George goes for late dive there down into turn 4. Bit of contact's going to be made. Bit of contact's going to be made. George goes for a bit of a spin. Where is Clockside in all of this? Reed is now going to come past George. But where is Clockside? Clockside's behind. He's even further behind. And we need to get a replay of that because that was a bit of a late dive and George didn't really make that move stick. So let's grab a replay to see what happened on board with Clockside. You can't even see George in the mirror just yet. There he is, dives down the inside. Oh, Clockside didn't leave him too much room. And George did have his nose there, so that might actually go down as Clockside's fault. Because he really didn't leave much room there on the apex, as George did have his front wing alongside, which is a bit of a shame. However, George was taking a bit of a risk as well, and unfortunately that has resulted in the situation that we have. Clockside's now down into 7th place. Jacob Reed has jumped up into 2nd, and it could potentially, it's 10 seconds, but if Babkov really kills his tyres, he might be able to get himself up towards a victory, but Chatsipansis is still in contention for this 2nd place.
Yeah, he is. He'll be trying to get 2nd again. Obviously, he hasn't actually lost any positions from that, which is quite remarkable. He gained 1 on Clockside, but he's lost it to Jacob Reed as well. And it will be impressive if you could get up to Jacob Reed right now, maybe a bit later on in the race when the mediums have gone off. But yeah, he's going to need to regather himself again. Yeah, I'm really not sure whose fault that. Maybe Clockside turned in a little bit there, but it was quite marginal in the end. It was just unfortunate that both of them ended up spinning, really, in my opinion. But there you go. The ones of the stewards are the only ones that matter in the end. So Chatsipansis is going to have the DRS now, and it'll be interesting to see what Clockside does from all the way down in 7th as well. But I think Reed is going to have a tall order to catch Barbakov. He really needs the Bulgarian to kill his tyres on his own. But with this gap, there's no reason for him to be pushing his tyres at all. So I think he'll be absolutely fine with that 10-second cushion out front that he's got right now.
Very comfortable indeed. Very comfortable. And he is going to be enjoying that. But now the focus really changes to this 2nd place battle now. As that it's up to 11 seconds now. It's going to be looking fairly comfortable for him. And yeah, good job from him. He's did what potentially is going to be the best strategy with that undercut. We thought it might be a little bit early, but he got the track position and is certainly working in his favour now. However, Reed is going to have to defend quite hard here from Chatsipansis, but we've seen already Chatsipansis has made a couple of mistakes, not just on his own, but in wheel to wheel. So Reed might have to take that into account with how hard he's going to fight this, but certainly 2nd place is going to completely change the championship for him, because that's some good points gained. But don't forget, Davison and even Brandholm aren't too far behind, as well as Adrian Maharazoa and Clockside. So this could be quite a big battle for those top 5 positions as we get towards the final 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, definitely. I just wonder if Jacob Reed has actually got ahead of Matthew Clipp right now in the championship, maybe even Tucson as well, with the amount of points he's gained. He's going to get 20 as it stands at the moment. And Clipp, for 8th position, just trying to do the maths here, what's he going to get? He's going to get 8 points for 8th position, which is fitting. So is he going to get through? No, not quite. Just 2 points separating them, and then 1 point further back to Tucson. So Tucson, after looking or having his eyes on 1st position, is actually going to end up 4th here, which is quite remarkable. But just the way things go sometimes, unfortunately.
But that's also due to the fact of having a DNF, and a DNF in a 10 race season is really not what you can afford. Obviously, on this occasion, it wasn't his fault, but it's still going to go down as a DNF. And unfortunately, ifs and buts don't really matter, because when you look back at the old results on the website, it doesn't matter what happened in the race. What you could have done, what you might have done. It just matters about the result. As Davison comes in for a 2-stop. That is interesting. Okay, so Brandholm is now up into 4th place. Clockside has got past his teammate of Adrian Maharazoa to get into 5th. Davison goes on to set up the soft combat tyres. I don't know if this is really going to work in terms of getting back to where he was, but he's certainly going to be very quick with those soft compound tyres with only 10 laps to go to the end of the race. But that is an interesting decision indeed.
Well, it's going to be very exciting, which is the good thing for us, I guess, but maybe not the best strategic call he's ever made. He's in 9th position at the moment, and interestingly, Clip and Freelik are catching Adri Hamazoa ever so slightly. It's 11 seconds now from where it was. I reckon Davidson's going to get through on those guys pretty easily. Whether he can actually get up to the other 2 Royal Blue cars, including Coloxa there, remains to be seen, really, but... yeah, it's an interesting one. It's interesting as well that Brantholm and Davison, the teammates, have both done slightly weird things in this race. Brantholm from the soft to the mediums, which is not what the majority of people have gone for. And then Davison with a 2-stop, which is the first 2-stop I've seen anybody do, especially at the front of the field. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But he's got 2.4 seconds to catch a Freelik and Clip, and you can't imagine that pass is going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one, to be honest. 2-stop is... Yeah, 2-stop's not necessarily what you want to do in an academy race because you don't really have that much time to make up. So it is a bit weird. But we'll have to see if it works for him. He obviously thinks it's going to be better for him. He obviously couldn't do a 1-stop on tyres. So yeah, we'll see if it works out in some way, but he's definitely not going to get back to where he was. Just depends how many positions he can actually make up. But Chase Pantelis is actually struggling here a little bit to get on the back of Jacob Reed. Obviously, Reed's on the medium tyres, so in theory they're a little bit better, but also in theory they should wear quicker. So by this point they must be on roughly equal tyres. However, Chase Pantelis with those spins, I think has possibly killed the tyres, to be honest.
Yeah, quite possibly. Obviously, spinning is not going to help your tyre life, so he may be experiencing a little bit of that right now. And Jacob Reed, interestingly, is still catching Barbakov, which is not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting him to be still catching this deep into the race. We've only got 7 laps to go when we get to the line, and Reed is still catching now. Maybe it's just starting to ebb ever so slightly. It got down to 7 seconds, starting to tail off ever so slightly. But yeah, it's certainly playing out a little bit differently to what I was expecting. Now, Brantholm is under pressure from Coloxa and Adri Hamazoa. So, yeah, it's those tyres are falling off for sure for Brantholm. And he's beginning to struggle. And now Davidson is also almost right on the back of Freelik. So, battles going on all over the circuit now, and that's what we like. But it's just difficult to know where to look right now.
Yeah, quite a few battles brewing. I do think Chase Pantelis is going to struggle to get past Reed. So, we'll have a look to see what Colaxai can do. Can he get himself back up? He's not really. I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch up to Chase Pantelis, but he might be able to get himself a 4th position, which wouldn't be too bad, as he's now getting the DRS into turn number 1, but he's not quite close enough on this time round. But he will get another bite down into turn number 4. And Brantholm this would be a really good result for him if he can keep this 4th place. I'm just going to check what he's done this season. His best is a 6th place so far this season. However, he did have a really good run in Portugal before that unfortunate crash with Barbakov took him out of contention for the win. But this would be Brantholm's best finish of the season if he can hold this on. But Colaxai is going to be looking pretty quick. But with the spins as well, his tyres are going to be hurting a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. They're not going to be in the shape they were, that's for sure. And Davison also struggling to get past Freelik, actually. He was right up the back of Freelik, coming down to 1 and 4. And I was expecting him to get through at some point, but he couldn't do it in the end. And now Colaxai, as we watch him down into turn 1 again, is Brantholm going to see this position on this occasion? Obviously, he's not going to open the door for him and let him through, but he's certainly going to fight this one for his 4th position that he's going to try and achieve. But now, oh goodness me, this is very close now. We couldn't even see free wide here. 2 of the teammates and then Davison trying to go through the middle of them. This is spectacular right now. Davison gets past one of them and now round the outside of the other. So that was quite interesting. But Matthew Clip really backing out very early on. And Scott Davison getting both of them. Probably took him a little bit longer than he wanted, but that's probably where he's going to end up now in 7th position.
That was quite something to go through the middle of both of them. I think Royal Blue were trying to make a bit of a blockade, but Davison with just too much grip. And look how far ahead he already is. He's already 2 seconds up the road in 3 corners, which is quite incredible. But yeah, Clip is now leading the way in that 8th place. And that alternate strategy, as we mentioned earlier, really hasn't worked out today, unfortunately. The front guys were just a little bit too quick. in that opening part, because we did mention that's why it spread out so much in the beginning, because these guys were pushing so much. The Barbkov, Chatspantis, etc. at the front, they were all pushing so much, it spread the field out, and it didn't back them up, which hasn't helped these guys. But further up the road, we now have this battle still going. Clockside getting pretty close to Brantholm, but yeah, he can't quite get through just yet.
No, not just yet. He's certainly applying the pressure, but it's not really enough for him right now. So down to turn 4 again. Can't do it on this occasion. He's just sticking behind for now with Adria Mizawa. Whatever his name is in 6th position, just following in behind. And Brantholm still losing time to Chatspantis in front. Speaking of losing time, by the way, Barbakov is still losing. He's now 6 seconds, and I was expecting Reed's tyres to be well off by this point, but he's managed them so well in the first stint, and he's managed them pretty well in this one as well, because Barbakov... as Chatspantis gets a big slide on the exit of the corner, and now that definitely ends his chances of a second place in this race, unless Reed's tyres really go off the cliff in the final few laps, but 4 laps to go as they cross the line, and 5 seconds is the gap. It's not impossible that Reed can get up to the back of Barbakov, because his tyres out front right now don't look the greatest, I have to say.
Yeah, I think Barbakov is struggling a little bit, and with that pressure gone now of Chatspantis, I think Reed could potentially get close, and he's gonna need a mistake, that's for sure. He's gonna need Barbakov to make a mistake, but with the older tyres, as you see with Chatspantis sliding out of what's effectively the final corner, yeah, it can definitely happen. So I think Chatspantis has unfortunately ruined his tyres, and in doing so, his chance of winning this Brazilian Grand Prix for the Academy Series. But yeah, that is looking pretty good for Barbakov out in front, because Reed once again isn't getting quite close enough just yet. Last lap he was quicker, but on this first sector he's lost a bit of time, so I do think Reed is going to struggle a little bit to catch up to him, but still second place is a very good result for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously he's taken 2 wins this season already, but getting another podium, his 4th podium of the season, would be fantastic indeed. And he hasn't actually been able to make many inroads into Barbakov on this occasion, so it looks like he is in the clear. And Brantholm looks like he might be able to hold on here as well. It's not looking but Clockside really isn't looking very threatening down the straights, I have to say. And down on the brakes, he really isn't getting very close at all. So Brantholm, if he can just continue on at this pace and keep his tyres alive, then I think he will be okay in this one. And Clockside might not really risk it all again to try and get down the inside, because he's already been caught up in an accident, or a spin at least. Also, he's just taking it a little bit easier now, and just bringing it home. But he'll want 4th position, of course, but obviously if this was for 3rd, he might have tried a little bit harder.
Yeah, he doesn't have to fight for this position for the championship, so he doesn't need to go absolutely YOLO. He's done what he needs to in the previous 9 races, and with that unfortunate DNF for Matthew Tewson, that pretty much handed it to Clockside. Having said that, he did have a 24-point lead, so it was looking pretty conclusive. And Clockside will be getting that package from IMB Racewear, so thank you to them for supplying that, and I'm sure Clockside will enjoy that. Fully customizable to his choosing, which is rather nice. And that'll be obviously getting on the way to himself fairly shortly, as IMB Racewear have now opened about 1 week ago now. So if you want to check out some personalized equipment and teamwear, then do check them out. And yeah, Clockside is going to be winning that, but with this 5th place, he's certainly going to want to get that 4th, but it doesn't look like he's going to quite be able to get to it, as Barbakov is already coming up towards the final lap of the race.
Yeah, he is right now. It's been a fantastic drive from him. I don't actually believe he has taken a win so far in this season. He's had a couple of podiums. 2nd place in Azure is his best result, I think, so far this season. So to take his maiden win in this season certainly would be a fantastic result. I'm just going to check if he's actually won a race as Academy before. No, he hasn't. So there you go. It's going to be his first race win in Academy altogether, never mind just this season. So it's great to see a new winner out here. Obviously, I don't want to jinx him just yet, but he certainly looks quite safe in where he is right now. Just looking down, somebody yellow flag in the 2nd sector in Clockside yet again. not close enough, but not really trying either to get through on Branholm.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the last opportunities because they will get DRS to the line, but there obviously won't be any sort of braking zone. So this is really his last opportunity, and yeah, he's not really close enough. So I think that's going to be pretty much 5th place. But we'll turn our attention to Barbakov, who, to be fair, has done an absolutely brilliant race. He did the strategy, he did the speed, and he managed to get away of all of the chaos that happened behind him with Chatsipantelis, Kalaksai, etc. And he will be coming out of the final corner to take victory in the final race of the season. And what a job that has been by Barbakov today, and also HM Engineering. And he will round out the final race of the Formula Sim Racing Academy season as well. 43 laps completed, and Barbakov takes victory here in Brazil, followed by Jacob Reed not too far behind. Then George Chatsipantelis getting that 3rd place. Branholm, can he hold on for 4th place for NRWO Esports? Yes, he can. Good result for him. His best race this season, definitely. And Kalaksai actually got overtaken to the line by his teammate Adriana Harazoa. So Kalaksai finishes down in 6th. Davison in 7th. Matthew Klipp battles his teammate to the line, Simon Frelick. Motorino will get 10th place. Attila Molnar will get 11th. Zalogiannis is down there in 12th place. Pinataro is in 13th. Zaharov is in 14th. And the final point goes to Petr Palazek, who was 1 lap down. But yeah, this race today was all really about Barbakov and the unfortunate situation with Matthew Tucson. That has led Kalaksai to be your Academy champion for 2020.
Yeah, I think he's just been doing some donuts there by the smoke coming out of his engine. So he's pretty pleased with himself, of course, and why wouldn't you be? As I believe we're going to try and see them now. But yeah, it was unfortunate the way Tucson was actually out of this race. In the end, it was obviously nothing of his fault, really, and not really the fault of the guy went into Zalogiannis in the end. You could argue that it was, but it's not really under anyone's control, the internet, and so on. So, yeah, it was an unfortunate way to end the championship for him, but Kalaksai managed to take it in the end with a 6th position, and Barbakov with a good race as well to take the win. A little bit inconsistent on the soft tyres, not the best opening stint he's ever done, I'm sure, but he was solidly consistent in the 2nd stint, taking full advantage of Chatsipantelis' mistake. While he was trying to stretch those tyres out for a little bit longer, he made a mistake, and Barbakov seized the opportunity with 2 hands to take the victory. But yeah, it's been a fantastic season of Academy. Great to see some new names, it seems, up the front of the field almost every single race. So yeah, it's been a fantastic season, but a worthy winner in David Kalaksai.
Yeah, he will obviously be moving up to Pro next year, along with, I'm sure, a couple of the other guys in Academy. Obviously, we don't know exactly when the calendar is for 2021, but FSR will not be done this year. There's going to be a series before Christmas as well, so do look out for that. But obviously, more information will come out with that in potentially later today, and also in the in the near future. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. However, that is pretty much it for today here for the Academy series. Later coming up, we have the World Championship round number 10 from 1640 GMT. However, before that, we will obviously then get the Pro Championship drivers, the middle class, where we're also waiting to crown either Luke Maguire or Phil Kraus as the Pro Champion. That will be starting in just over 1 hour's time, so do come back and check out on the YouTube channel. Obviously, there's no next race graphic to show you because we don't know exactly when that is going to be, but do tune in for the broadcast later today and also into social media to see when our next series will be coming out. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it here from the Academy series. But from myself and Ewan, we'd like to thank the sponsors of 3D Wrap, SimLab and IMB Raceware. And until the Pro Championship, we wish you a very warm goodbye.